AI can write essays in a heartbeat, but what it can't do is tell you about this completely misaligned knuckle I have right here. Because when I was 17 years old and on the wrestling team, I had an injury where this finger became completely dislocated. It was kind of hanging off this way. And I got some urgent treatment by some random first aid person there on the side of the mat, but it hurt and I knew things weren't aligned properly and I didn't say anything about it. And now when my hand hurts, all I think about is the pain over here. And when I'm suffering like that, not to hide those feelings, but instead get the help I need from the people that can help me. And I'm beginning to believe that this idea about being able to understand what's going on inside and sharing it outside with the world, being story worthy, telling the experiences that other people need to hear, this is the core thing that is going to make us irreplaceable in the future era of AI superintelligence. So in this video, I want to talk to you about three things. I want to talk about why AI needs you, what AI can't copy, and how we can stay ahead. What you can start doing right now, it'll take you less than a minute every day, and how this can help you prepare for this future. So how did we get here? Well, in my last video, I talked about this MIT study about brain activity and cognition when people are using ChatGPT to write essays. And the comments broke down into three different categories. There was the category of AI-anxiety, which I love that term. I've never heard it before. I'm going to totally use it from here on out. Comments about how it was a flawed study. Thank you, Dr. Duff, for calling that out. I think you're right on about all the points that you raise. And at the same time, I think there's some real important takeaways that we're going to talk about in a moment. And then a lot of comments about like, what now? Where do we go? If AI is going to outperform us in cognition and creativity, then what does that mean for us? And that is a question that I've been thinking about a lot. And if you're interested in my answers to the other things, check out the comment section in that last video. I go into more detail about it. But I've been really consumed with that question of what now? It's something I've been thinking about forever. Not forever, for the past few months, but getting that comment and our discussion in that video made me even more focused on it. And yesterday I was talking to a AI scientist friend of mine, which is a total Silicon Valley flex, I know, but there's not a lot of cool things about living here in the San Francisco Bay Area. The one cool thing is we have a lot of smart people who know a lot about technology. So I was talking to him about it, and he said, well, you know, the one thing that AI is always going to need is new information. AI is hungry for new information. And that is what separates one model from another. And we're racing towards this future where AI is going to have consumed every single piece of human knowledge that's out there. And then what's left is largely new information. And the new information from science, math, technology is going to be coming from AI. It's going to be generated from the superintelligence that we develop. But the one thing that it won't have more of are fresh human experiences. What it's going to need are new human stories about the evolving human story, about your experience in the future and what's happening to you in your daily life and my life and all of that. That's what's really going to help these models to become more emotionally intelligent and better able to not only respond to our needs, but also to continue and evolve in their own development as well. And that's also the thing that we all need. You know, the entertainment industry is a multi $1 trillion industry. And if we take capitalism out of it, the thing that defines us as humans is not our ability to use tools. We love that origin story for ourselves, that we are such good tool makers, just like we like the origin story that we're hunter-gatherers, when mostly we were gatherers that did very minor amount of hunting. But the thing that really separates us is not our ability to make tools like this, but it's our ability to share stories. Because when we shared stories, we developed common beliefs and mythology, and we were able to teach people through stories and give warnings and all of this sort of, and develop urban legends which keep us safe from danger. Stories are what allowed us to scale cooperation beyond our bloodlines. Most primates, they don't really cooperate beyond their bloodlines, but we can cooperate across thousands, if not millions of people when we look at nation states and how they work. It's also a big problem for us because we've gone to war and continue to go to war often over the things that we believe. But this is the defining thing about us. Our ability to share stories with each other. This is how we've scaled up our species, for better and worse. Um, we're story generators. That is the main thing humans do. And this is the thing that I think AI is going to need from us. And this is what AI cannot do. And I know this kind of sounds like some kind of really dystopian matrix type of world where instead of their machines extracting energy from us, they're extracting our stories. But I don't really see it that way. I see it in a much more optimistic way of possibility. So I want to just dive into this in a little bit more detail, because the stories that will stick out in your mind and that do stick out are things that are surprising. There are things that are emotional. There are things that have personal relevance. So, like, I will show you right now. Um, if you imagine this royal space whale prince who actually can talk and is not only a space whale, but is a space whale therapist.
Hello, Ozzy! You need to embrace your fear of being judged and saying things that other people will disagree with you on. And
don't worry about that commenter that said you're fear mongering in the last video and that they're unsubscribing to you and all that sort of stuff. Anyways, I go on a tangent. But that was a very unexpected thing. You did not expect me to pull out this space whale that is then quoting stuff about my feelings and my biggest fears. And stuff like that is what sticks out in your mind. Something that surprises you, like Luke, I am your father. Something that has emotional relevance, like my knuckle and me imagining what my finger looked like when that thing was out. And then things that really, or things that are emotional, like my knuckle, and things that have personal relevance, like how I get flooded with all these stories about AI, but the one story that really stuck out in my brain was that MIT story about brain activity and cognition. So this is what we do. We look out for things that are very surprising, things that are emotional, and things that have some type of relevance to us. Meanwhile, what AI does is it looks for big patterns, hidden patterns across millions, if not billions of data points. And then it generates what it thinks needs to come next. And if you look at the stories and the art that comes out of AI, it feels a lot like the crap we see on Netflix nowadays, which mostly feels like very generic, predictable, boring, AI-generated slop. Like, none of this stuff really is very surprising or emotional. And without new information about what life is like for people, AI can't really generate stories that have any personal relevance to us. So AI sort of flattens out the experience of being human. It'll generate an interesting picture, but that picture really seems like the most average version of stuff we've seen before. I know there's ways to prompt it to make it a little bit more interesting, but in general, AI is generative and it is general and it is average and it doesn't have the ability to know what is going on inside of you here and here as time moves forward, at least not yet. So I really think the most valuable thing is not our ability to write essays like that MIT study looked at. It's not our ability to solve math equations. It's not our ability to put all these things together and have new engineering solutions. I think our biggest asset is really our ability to understand what's happening here and communicate it externally in a way that has some kind of impact on people. So this is where I want to introduce to you the Storyworthy framework. I'm taking a little bit from Matthew Dix, who wrote this book, Storyworthy. I'm taking a little bit from what I've learned from the Moth storytelling and kind of putting it all together for you. And this is where I think we need to head. We all need to learn how to become more storyworthy. My camera has autofocus on it. I don't even know if you can see that. It keeps focusing on my eyes, which is usually good, but not when I want to show you. Be storyworthy. So I don't have to show you my hand because I've written it right over here. We're going to talk about all these details. And the first thing you're probably thinking is, I don't live an interesting life. I'm not story worthy. And that's something that Matthew Dix talks a lot about in his book. That when we think about stories, we're all looking for these big, extraordinary moments, but that's not really what resonates with people because that's not relatable. What's relatable are these small moments in our life, and those small moments happen every single day. So the first thing is to be story worthy, really recognize that these moments are always happening and you have a story worth telling. So stop looking for the big and start noticing the small. That's how we start to become story worthy. And the way we gain those experiences is to go out and collide with the world. One of the things that's become harder for me once I became a parent is I went out and did stuff less in life. My life became much more predictable. I have a lot of great stories from my interactions with my kids, but less so outside. So, one of the things that we have to do is we have to start colliding with the outside world a little bit more, do more stuff that's out there. The second thing here is notice those really memorable 5 seconds moments of time that happen in our life today. These always are out there. Something always happens. All we have to do is just take notice of it. And then this has gotten a little scribbled out over here, but what it says is combine the external and the internal. What the best stories do is they take things that are happening outside of us and they combine that with what is happening inside of us. So, example might be, my finger got dislocated, and internally, yeah, there was a lot of pain, but then there was tremendous shame because I didn't ask for help. That's what was going on in my head. Don't tell anyone. Don't let your parents know that this thing happened because they'll judge you for it. And then the shame that followed after, external plus internal. And the last thing is every good story has some type of choice. I decided not to tell my parents that my finger got messed up. I didn't tell my friends. I didn't tell anybody else because I felt like I did something wrong. And what I knew I had to do is I had to be strong. And a strong man, what they do is they bury that inside. They move forward. They don't tell anyone about it. That's all it really takes to be story worthy. That is all that it takes to share something that is going to move people, that is going to stick with people, that's going to be remembered, and that's actually going to help. And not only help people, but also to help AI, improve AI, hopefully help it to help us. So, how do you do this? What can you possibly start doing in your life? Matthew Dix talks about the homework for life. This is something you can do every single day to become more story worthy in your life. And it's actually really simple. Once a day, just write down what was that one small 5-second moment in your of time in your life during this past day that is possibly story worthy. Just write it down somewhere. I have a journaling app called Day One, and I keep all these things written down. But what Matthew Dix does is he writes these in an Excel document. Let me share with you my story worthy moments that I wrote down from this week. Number one, went to a birthday party for kids. I had a lot of social anxiety before, didn't think I belonged, but then I ended up meeting a cool dad. No, number two, my daughter was saying, "Wouldn't it be cool if you were my sidekick?" And I said, "Sweetie, I used to be a main character. Then you were born. Now I'm basically bandana Waddle Dee to your Kirby." We play a lot of Kirby. We love that game. Then I have one here. Trying to poop. Both kids come into the bathroom and start playing with their toys while I'm pooping. No privacy. That's all there. The next one. This was a fun day. Met a billionaire today. I felt both completely underdressed and overdressed at the same time. And one from yesterday. Son is angry at me for not bringing his favorite Spidey toy in the car on the way to daycare. Feel like crap because after I dropped him off, I realized the toy was in the front seat the whole time. These are the small moments that are gold. It's not the big, it's really the small. So I'm wondering, what is your story-worthy moment of today? What is that small 5-second moment of time when you collided with the world and it resulted in some kind of interesting internal and external experience that led to some kind of choice that you made? That's all we're looking for here. And I know this can sound maybe a little silly. That, Ali, are you just saying we're all going to be artists in the future? We're all going to just sit around campfires and tell stories with each other? And that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is AI relies on predictions, and humans, what really makes everything memorable for us is what is unpredictable, what is surprising. And the future I see that I want to actually work towards is a future where we are able to connect with each other as our ancestors did through storytelling. This is the core thing that we do that separates us from every other species, is our ability to unite around stories and shared experiences and shared beliefs. This is what humans do. This is what separates us. And so the people who are able to see where they are in time and space, describe the experiences that are going on, both outside and inside, and then share a choice that they made. The people who are able to tell those stories, I think they're going to be the ones that are really at an advantage in this future. And it's not just artists that need to be able to tell the internal and external experience, but it's community organizers, both online and offline community organizers. They excel and they connect with people because of these shared stories. It's leaders. Mandani and Trump. These are two people who are being talked about a lot in the news. And I think they're both really good at storytelling in very different ways, but not only in understanding the story of others, but taking those stories and combining it with their own. And that's how they bring people together around a common vision. The people who are going to be coordinating AI research, AI engineering, AI math, all this sort of stuff, they need to be able to understand the story of where have we been, where are we going, how do we prioritize the AI. This is the core skill I need. It's what AI needs, it's what it's going to crave from us, and it's what we crave from each other. That's all it comes down to, is the future really belongs to those who are story-worthy. I want to leave you with 3 resources in case you want to dive further into this. Number one is an article from the Working Theories Substack. It's really good. It's about jobs of the future, what's going to be left for us. Linked to it in the description below. Future Proof by Kevin Rose is an excellent book that gives you an idea of how to be of what to prioritize in our future work. It's not the technical, but it's much more the humanistic. And then the last one is, of course, Storyworthy by Matthew Dix, if you want to learn more about this. So let me know what you think. I want to hear your 1 second, not 1 second, your 5 second, one sentence stories.
Leave it in the comments below.
All right, folks, I'll see you in the next one.